Hello, Albion Obsessed listeners and viewers. Welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. Today, we come to you on the back of our fifth straight defeat against the mighty Liverpool. We're going to chat a lot today about the things that happened in the game, some things that we'd like to see changing going forward, and a few other talking points that have come from the game and from social media afterwards. But as ever, before we dive into our match analysis, let's see who we've got to chat to today. First of all, hello, Joe. How are you, my friend?
Hello, Thomas. Yeah, not bad, not bad. I met your dad today. Lovely guy. So if you're watching, I can't remember his name. What's his name, Tom?
Phil. Big Phil.
Phil. Hi, Phil. Nice to meet you. But yeah, footballing wise, no.
Footballing wise, no, I love it. But at least you got to meet Senor Budgeon. Big up, Big Phil. Hi, Dad. Kurtis. Curtis. It's so good to see you back, my friend. How are you?
I'm grand. I didn't get to meet your dad today, so I'm quite sad about that. But otherwise, I'm doing all right. I'm glad to be back. It's been a little while since I've done a full pod, so I look forward to joining you today on a Brighton win. Sorry, it wasn't a win, was it? No. So we get to talk about the game today. That'll be fun.
Too true, Curtis. Too true. There's not any controversial talking points whatsoever. And talking of controversial talking points, hello, Aaron. Aaron, my friend, how are you?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Tom. How are you, mate?
I'm doing really good, buddy. I'm doing really good.
Good.
I say really good. We've just lost, but I will say this: I talk about it's our fifth straight defeat in a row. But honestly, boys, did any of you expect to beat Liverpool? Joe, were you expecting anything from the game beforehand?
No, I wasn't. But to be honest, we go into any Premier League game these days, and anything can happen. We've beaten every single club that sits in the Premier League at the moment, so we can beat them. Whether you expect to beat them is another thing. And yeah, I just went with low expectations, and I'm glad I did because we didn't get anything out of the game. So yeah, lose.
Curtis, a lot of fans consider these games against the big six sides, especially the likes of City and Liverpool, a bit of a free hit. Do you see it that way, or do you, as Joe, think that every game is an opportunity to get some points?
So is that saying that the last 5 games have all been free hits? I mean, it's not. Listen, it was always going to be a really tough game today, but like Joe said, like we have the capabilities to go to these places and put on a great performance and win because we've done these things. It's disappointing, it's just disappointing. Ultimately, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. 5 defeats on the bounce. Now, that's a statistic that not even Sami Hyypiä managed to get. And it's the first time we've seen it happen since, I think the stat being banded around is 2007. So we're talking about a long time here. Aaron, there's a lot of things that don't seem to be ticking at the Albion at the moment. One of the other stats I've got for you, mate, 14 home games this season, 10 goals. What seems to be the problem with Brighton at home?
Don't really think it's been a problem since we come up to the Premier League. We don't score enough goals. It's not a sort of a rocket scientist could figure it out. And it's really not hard. If you don't score goals, you don't win games. If you don't win games, you're going to struggle to stay up or to finish higher than sort of 14th, 15th. Like we're lucky where our away form was better than this year. Then if not, then we would definitely be bottom three without a shadow of a doubt. Um, but yeah, it's just need to find a goal scorer. It's really not hard, and goals win games. It's simple as that. It's the hardest job in football to score goals, and it seems to be the fact is we haven't scored a goal since the 18th of January at the Amex. That's a long time. A long time. If you think about it, really, it's in the fixtures we've had at home, you expect us to in theory we should beat Burnley, we should give Villa a game, but we got battered by Burnley, we got battered by Villa, we got battered by Liverpool, and you look at the Norwich game on the 2nd of April. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if we lose that game. Would not surprise me in the slightest. And obviously we've got Tottenham on Wednesday night. And I can't even really see us scoring, to be fair. I didn't really think we'd look like scoring again today. I think we had one opportunity which Trossard smashed it halfway to Worthing. But it would have been disallowed anyway because it's handball, so it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But
there was the Welbeck chance as well towards the end.
To be fair, that save was unreal from Maddison. Jesus, that was a hell of a save. But then even then, it just didn't really look like scoring in my opinion. Again.
Yeah, it's you're right. I think the main issue has been for a long time in front of goal, and we've said it to death on the podcast about needing a clinical striker. But obviously, that costs big bucks potentially. Obviously, we look forward to the summer having some loanies return to us. But it does start to look a bit short-sighted when the problem persists year in, year out, and it's not particularly addressed. Another stat that isn't a particularly nice stat to hear or to read is that we've scored one goal from a set piece in 450 minutes of football. Now, if this was a once in a blue moon sort of occurrence, that would be one thing. But we were speaking about this earlier in the season after the Leeds game when the fans were booing at the end of that game. I came on this podcast as a guest and I talked about how, the stats, it's no wonder fans are frustrated. And as Aaron says, it does make you think, where is the next goal coming from? So boys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pose you this question now, and then we'll come back to it at the end of the pod, a bit like we did in the last episode. So my question to you is, what needs to change moving forward? And then when we start chatting about the Spurs game at the end of this episode, we'll come back to that question and we'll just unpick it a little bit and see what we can come up with. But let's dive into the game at hand, which is the Liverpool defeat that we've just witnessed. Joe, it was really, really bright start from Brighton. They came out of the traps and they looked like the better team. There were some early half chances created, a lovely bit of skill from McAllister. So you were at the game, first 15 minutes. What was the atmosphere like at the ground?
Yeah, great. It's that age-old thing where before we play a team like Liverpool, everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, but we play well against these teams," and everyone's reminiscing about the Burnley game gone and the Villa game, and saying how bad they were, and obviously that we improved a little bit at Newcastle, but it wasn't quite there. But then first 15 minutes, as you say, really, really positive stuff. I thought, okay, we could be on for a really good game here. And then what happens, as the Sanchez incident, and the ball rolls towards the goal, and no one's there to clear it. But yeah, I thought we could have had a foothold in that game if that freak thing doesn't happen. Yeah, it's just frustrating because it looked like we were going okay, and then. Again, I don't know what the mix-up was, why Sanchez has come in and clattered the guy and completely out of position, no defenders back to clear it. It's just another frustrating goal to concede because I feel like it could have easily been avoided. Yeah,
it was very reminiscent of the Aston Villa goal, wasn't it, Kurtis? A long ball over the top, we get beaten for pace, and what happens, as Joe says. What was your view on it?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I saw it coming a mile off. Like we're not great at defending counter attacks. We just can't seem to do anything about them. And I saw Diaz, right? It was Diaz, wasn't it? Yeah, I saw him running with it, and I was like, oh, this is going to go in either way. And then that situation happened with the keeper, obviously. And I think Sanchez is starting to get a little sloppy again recently, and it's starting to get a bit concerning. But that's another conversation. But unfortunately, yeah, I just saw that goal just coming from a mile off. Not much to say about it.
Yeah, we do seem to be very susceptible to the counter attack at the moment. It's definitely something that I think our opponents have recognised. And we've been hit with it in the last couple of games. Now, Aaron, just talking about Joe's point. Now, you as yourself, you're a goalkeeper. There's a discussion to be had about whether maybe Sanchez shouldn't have come for the ball. Maybe he should have stayed on his line, given the defenders time to get back. Maybe coming out made Diaz's mind up for him. Now, as I say, you're a goalkeeper. What's your view on, staying on line or coming out?
I mean, if you make the decision, you've got to make sure you get there to start with. But one thing I noticed, he stuttered before he was coming out. He stopped and started, and that's the reason for the collision. I don't think. I honestly really can't really say it's really his fault. I think every goalkeeper goes through times where you're not making the smartest decisions, and I think that was just one of those moments. I think, in my personal opinion, that he's decided to come for it, and he's just sort of, as I said, hesitated, and that's cost him that goal. Because if he doesn't stutter like I just did, then he gets that ball like easy. But obviously when we start, he just cost him that, and obviously then the ball just trickles over the line.
Yeah, definitely one of Sanchez's major strengths is the ability to claim high balls, and perhaps that that stutter, as you say, Aaron, is the difference. Now, obviously, the situation itself is that Diaz gets ahead to it and then gets immediately absolutely clattered by Big Bob Sanchez. A lot of discussions about whether it should have been a sending off. So it is a contention. We've said our pieces on our on the group chat. Now I'll come to you first, Joe. In your opinion, was it a cardable offence, or is it just one of those things where Big Bob he's come for the ball, and where else is he supposed to go?
Yeah, I think so. I just think it's one of those things where there's going to be debate about it constantly. It's never going to be something that everyone agrees on at all, because there's so many takes of it. There's so many angles, so many opinions flying about that make you question your own. To be honest, I don't think it was a red card. But then I think, would I be claiming for it if it was the other end? But then if I watched the replay back, maybe not. I don't know. It's so soon after the game. I've not seen any replays at all. I'm coming completely fresh from the game. Everything in my memory, everything that I say is from my eyes only. And when it happened, I didn't think, oh, he's in trouble. I only thought he was in trouble when VAR were looking at it because of how picky they are. And I thought, okay, yeah, this could be really bad. But if I'm going off of my initial thoughts, I wasn't afraid that he was going to get sent off. So, yeah, that's my view on it.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. I think the problem with replays is that they slow everything down, and when it's in slow motion, it just looks so much worse. Again, Aaron, you're a goalkeeper, mate. These things happen. It's a contact sport. In your opinion, were you surprised that Sanchez didn't get any card at all, be it a yellow or a red, or is it just one of those things? It's a footballing incident.
Yeah, it's just a football incident. If that's a red card, it's just ridiculous. That's not a red card for me. I need to pick my words very carefully, because for me, that is not a red card, and I can tell you for why. One, where else can he go? He's making himself big. He's trying to challenge for the ball. What's he going to do? Just stand there and just let Diaz get there? He has to make himself big, because he knows Diaz is going to get there first. So as a keeper, you instantly make yourself as big as you possibly can if he's going to take it first time. Unfortunately for Diaz, he's absolutely been clattered into. But watching it live, I was like, no, that's not a red card. Never a red card. And I was getting bombarded with messages after messages like, how's he on the pitch? Straight red. That's almost a physical assault. It's really not. I had the best seat in the house. And I was like, never in any, till the VAR thing came up on the screen, did I ever think, oh, he's in trouble? Oh, this is a red card. Never. Because he's always doing is coming out. I've done that before. I've done that 3 or 4 times. And granted, I'm not playing with VAR, but if I got sent off for that, I'd be raging as a keeper. absolutely raging because there's nothing else you can do. So obviously, the only thing you can do is not hesitate. But if you do, you do, and you just got to try and make yourself as big as you possibly can, and that's what Sanchez has done. Like, it really, really pisses me off seeing on Twitter and everywhere, oh, it's a straight red, oh, it's this, he's almost chopped his head off, and no, he hasn't. It's like, yeah, you watch the replays, it looks horrendous. Like, and I said, replays make everything 10 times worse. Like, they always have them, and I just don't understand. I know people have got their obviously own opinion and stuff, but I just don't get it. It's like, have you played the game before? Like, that's not a red card, and it's really, really pisses me off when I see stuff like that on Twitter. Obviously, everyone's got an opinion. I have my own opinion, but Christ, it's not a red card. It wasn't given as a red card. If Diaz got the ball and took it round Sanchez, then got clattered, fair enough. Penalty, red card, done. I would not have any complaints about that. But the fact is, you want to score and then also get a player sent off is just absolutely stupid in my book. Because you the advantage is you've just scored. That's your advantage. Your advantage is from that instant you've just scored a goal. Fine, that's it. Like when I remember Van Dijk coming up and was like, "Oh, have a look at it." I was like, "Well, why is he going to have a look at it? You've literally just scored. It's not like it's gone for a goal kick." And then when it came up on the big screen, I said to my dad, "I was like, how can you get sent off for that? Like, how? Like, I'm probably going to get pelted, but I'm not really too fussed because it's not a red card. It's just not a red card. End of story. That is it. People think it's a red card. Fair enough. It's your own opinion. But you're wrong."
I don't even think you will get pelted though, Aaron, because as I say, when I was watching it live, I had exactly the same thoughts as you. At not one point did I think, yeah, Sanchez is in real big trouble here. I just thought, he's a little bit late to the ball, so he's not been able to clear it, which has resulted in the goal. So I was more pissed off about that. I wasn't looking at that. And I also made an observation just quickly, Tom, on Twitter after the game where the BT pundits, thank you, were saying, "Oh, it could have been really bad. He could have been really badly injured." Isn't that the same for any challenge across the whole of the pitch in every single game, in every single minute of whatever level you're playing?
You look at the studio and who they had in. It's fucking Liverpool everywhere. Liverpool, fucking no one cares. Literally, the game is done. Liverpool are going to win this game anyway. Doesn't matter if we played at the world class. We're always going to struggle today. The game is done. Should it have been a red card? No. Game is done. Is it a talking point? Yes. But don't fucking nitpick it every little bit. Watch replay after replay after replay after replay. Oh, Peter Walton, that should have been a red card. He's clueless. He ain't got a fucking clue what he's on about 90% of the time. So no wonder why he thinks it's a red card. You've got fucking McManaman and fucking Crouch. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Fucking if that's Peter Crouch, that hits him in the chest, the lanky fucker. You got McManaman who can barely speak English. Like, what is this fucking about? Honest to God.
The rage is real.
You're right, Aaron. Right, you good?
It's hardly a neutral punditry lineup, is it? When you've got two former Liverpool players. I don't want to dwell on the point too much because I feel like we're going to get into rage-inducing territory here. There was another talking point I was going to mention about it. Oh, it was just the leg. That's the only thing for me that I was a bit questionable. But for what it's worth, Big Phil Budgeon also said that it wasn't a red.
Go on, Phil. Go on.
And if Big Phil Budgeon says it ain't a red, that's good enough in my books. But what I will say, Kurtis, and I'm going to pose this question to you. Yeah. If that had happened anywhere else on the pitch, would it have been a red?
It's hard to say. It's really hard. I mean, like, to be honest with you, I'm not someone who's ever played football, right? I'm not a physical boy, right? I'm going to be brutally honest with you, right? I played rugby. That's what I did as a kid. But actually, to be fair, then I would know about physical sports, right? Sometimes these things just happen, right? And there's not anything you can really do about it. You just got to get up and carry on. But like, I agree with what Aaron said in the sense of like it happened, and the decision was made, and then that's all we heard about for the remainder of the fucking game. And I was like, yeah, I was like, all right, yeah, it happened. Let's move on. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what I was saying to my brother, because we were watching it together, and he's just a neutral. He doesn't care about Brighton whatsoever. Shame on him, is what I say. But he said that if the goal didn't go in, he thinks it would have been a red. And then I was like, well, yeah, there's a possibility of that, but I didn't think, I agree with what Aaron said. Like, what more could he have done in that situation? He was just doing his thing. He was just making himself big and everything. So, if it was maybe somewhere else on the pitch, I could potentially see it, but I think it's a different thing.
Thing for me is it doesn't happen anywhere else on the pitch. It happens because he's a goalkeeper. No other player is jumping up that high to claim a ball with their hands. So yeah, I can't quite get that comparison, but I mean, I guess it could happen with like a header. Yeah,
it's not the hands; it's the leg, because it's the knee was in and around the chest.
I don't think any outfield player jumps that high.
Dan Burn could.
Well, okay, yeah, but
just had to get the Dan Burn reference in for this episode.
Yeah, just make Aaron more
every time. Don't mention his name.
We don't talk about Dan Burn. No.
You made him drop his microphone now. Well done.
I don't want to prolong the point. So we are going to swiftly move on from that, and we're going to talk instead about a man called Adam Lallana. So halftime comes, we're 1-0 down at halftime. For me, I still think that there's a possibility we could get something out of the game. I thought that Liverpool did start to dominate the rest of the half after they scored, and we looked a bit frightened to attack. We stopped going forward as well as we had done in that first 15 minutes. And I was really quite happy to see Lallana come on at halftime. But Joe, it's a shame that the cameo for Lallana only lasted 5 minutes. There's no doubt that Adam Lallana is a quality player. In fact, he might be the best player we've had since Vicente. But do you think that we should extend his contract in the summer, or shall we just move him on?
It's a really tough one. I was so delighted when Adam Lallana joined our football club, and I felt like we were very privileged to have a player of his caliber play for us. But is there a reason that only Brighton came for him? Maybe other teams knew of his physical situation a little bit more and how injury prone he was and didn't want to take that chance. And we did. Fine. Last season, I have to say, there were some games where his class outshone everything. And as you say, debatable, but he is in terms of class and what he's won and what he's done in the game up there with Vicente, for sure. Maybe even higher because he's won a Premier League, he's won a Champions League. I don't know what Vicente won. I'm not an expert on La Liga, I have to say. In terms of extending his contract, as I say, it's really tough. I don't think we should. I don't think so. I've been weighing up the options because obviously I knew you was going to bring this up today. I've been weighing up the options for the last couple of hours, thinking, yeah, but what does he bring in the dressing room? Is it worth it just for that? Is it worth the wages? No doubt he's on very high wages. I know he did take a pay cut to be at Brighton, but he's still probably the highest paid player at the club. I don't know the financial situations. That's just my guess. But I don't think we do. I think we need to freshen up this squad big time in the summer. And we need some hungry, young players with that little bit of experience. If you came to me and said, Danny Welbeck or Adam Lallana, I might get shot down for this, but this is my opinion. Danny Welbeck or Adam Lallana, I'd take Danny Welbeck. honestly. I would.
Fair choice. Kurtis, just picking up on that, I've got another hypothetical for you. Would you keep Adam Lallana on in a more coaching capacity and maybe give him the odd game?
Yeah, I don't know, because to echo something that Joe was saying about, his voice in the changing room and being sort of like the co-captain, alongside Dunk. I think he brings a lot in that facet, but I don't know if it would be worth paying those sorts of wages for him just to come on sort of when he's fit and when he feels like it. I love the man, I love him. I think he's fantastic. And when he's on, it, like in a game, he's just so good and he's like really great in that midfield area. But saying that, I think if we're going to do that comparison that Joe just did, if we were to say Welbeck or Lallana, I think I would go Lallana over Welbeck, if I'm brutally honest. Just there's no particular reason for it. I just would probably go with Lallana more so over Welbeck.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one myself. I think he oozes class when he's not fit, when he is fit. Sorry, and I think I read an article about how he is the loudest player.
You can always hear him usually.
Yeah,
on the
and
TV
I think he's the loudest player at training as well. I think I heard one of the other players say. And I think he's just really good for the young lads. He always, again, from the reports up at Liverpool, down here as well, always introduces himself to the young lads, always wants to kind of like help with their development, which is why I posed the question about having him in more of a coaching role, perhaps. But there's no doubt, Joe, that you're 100% right. We need to freshen up the squad.
I think if you offered me that, if you said coaching role, then absolutely. I'm not doubting anything that Adam Lallana brings to the dressing room or can bring to a squad, because I think footballing wise, his intelligence is unbelievable. So put him in a coaching role, even like the Andrew Crofts role that he's doing with the under-23s. I just don't think his body is going to allow him to play Premier League football again. If he wasn't as injury prone, I would be 100% saying Adam Lallana over Danny Welbeck. But I just feel like Danny Welbeck's got a couple more years on Adam Lallana. That's my only reason for choosing Danny Welbeck. If Adam Lallana's 2 years younger, I'd choose Lallana all day long.
Yeah, I think also striker is a position we don't have many depth in, which also adds credence to your point, Joe. So then, as the game wears on, we give away a penalty. But before the penalty, Bissouma is booked for dissent over a free kick, which I don't know what it looked like to you guys in the ground. Aaron, to us, to me, it didn't look like it was a free kick at all. It looked like Bissouma won the ball cleanly and started on the counter. What was your view on it?
Yeah, he did. That's probably the only thing I would have said Mike Dean done wrong with the whole game, in my opinion. I actually thought he done okay. I don't know why everyone's saying losing their head over the Mike Dean's performance. Yeah, but Bissouma, I think it might have been Mane or Keita, one of the two, puts his head down, and Bissouma's foot just gets there before him. It's not a foul. It's not a foul. It's just not. Where else is? If you put your head down as a player towards the ground where the ball is, you're expecting the foot to come at your face. It's not like the ball was up high or anything like that. So yeah, that for me, Mike Dean's performance was fine in my opinion. Apart from there was a couple of decisions, but nothing that changed the game. His performance did not change the outcome at all. And it was a Stonewall penalty. I watched the highlights. It was like, you can't be hand up there. Stupid.
Yeah, I had a discussion with some people on Twitter about that who were moaning about the penalty, and I brought up
protecting his face. I was like, no. I was like, that is a penalty. It was like his hand is like up here. I was like,
regardless of protecting your face, your arm shouldn't be like up here, basically.
Like it was a penalty, but it must have been Stonewall because no one was complaining about it. So like obviously the opposite end from where me and Joe sit, so I couldn't really see. But due to the lack of complaints, it must have been Stonewall. And when Salah's not going to miss a penalty, let's be honest. I knew he was going to smash it down the middle as well. Just had that feeling. And yeah, he was actually reasonably quiet today. I thought Salah. He had a couple of chances, but nothing major. I didn't even think Liverpool played that well, in my opinion. I thought they were sort of bang average. Really, Diaz was the only one who really done anything.
That's been the case for a couple of games we've had recently. Like they've not played particularly well, but we've just been quite subpar ourselves.
So it was just frustrating. Like, I was like, Liverpool weren't great, but City are the better team in my opinion, and I hope City win the league.
Yeah, I think the penalty. I don't know how you can argue with that. If anything, I think we were lucky that Biz stayed on the pitch because it recalled a memory of Glenn Murray doing something very similar against Sheffield Wednesday back in the Championship, where he got sent off for it.
Yeah, so I think that one was more on the line though. That's been Murray was on the line, if I remember rightly, and blocked it with his face. So that's a straight red off the bat. But other than, if you got a second booking for that would have been very harsh. That would have been Mike Dean being Mike Dean, and then just wanting to send him off because he could. Like it's not a booking. It's not even it's not even a booking, let alone a second one.
Fair dues. I do think Graham Potter made the right choice, Joe, bringing Basuma off midway through that half. Now, Joe, Basuma has had a lot of criticism from fans over the last couple of months, really, since returning from AFCON. Do you think that criticism is warranted?
Yes, because he just looks gone. But the Basuma that we knew last season, or even the season before lockdown football happened, is just nowhere to be seen. There is no Basuma dancing with the fans. There is no, we barely even sing the Basuma song anymore because the fans know his head is completely out the door. It's gone. And I tweeted yesterday, I think, that if he really wants that big move to a Champions League football club, that we all know that he can play at that level, he needs to start showing that. There is no Champions League football club that will look at Basuma's performances towards the end of this season and go, yeah, we want him at our football club, because they will know for a fact that the next time he wants to move on to the next best thing in his mind, he's not going to play for you. The mentality is ridiculous. Today, he was a little bit better than he has been. I will give him that. But the mentality has been nothing short of disgraceful from him. When you put on my football club shirt, I expect you to give 100%. He's given barely 10. He gave maybe 40% today. So yeah, fair enough. And to be fair to him, I was in front of the guy that he gave his shirt to somebody at halftime. I thought that was a nice touch, but he looked like he was thinking about that about 6 times over, maybe thinking, I don't really want to do that, and then stopped as to say, oh yeah, go on then. There is none of, what I loved about Basuma was that connection between the fans. It's gone. And I would hate for this to end in such a toxic way, because if he carries on like it towards the end of the season, people will be wanting to drive him out of the football club. They will be offering to take him wherever he wants to go, to the nearest airport. Because, yeah, as I say, it's nothing short of disgraceful. And I hope for his sake that he can recoup that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we talk about performances. If you think back to the Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge, Basuma was the best player on the pitch. And if Basuma wants, as you say, Joe, that move to that Champions League level football club, he needs to start putting in the work ethic and, the work that we've seen before. If you want to see players who want to move on but are still giving it 110%, look at Elliot Bennett in the League One promotion season. Look at Dale Stephens. When Burnley came in for him, these players still kept their performances at a high level, and and the fans loved them for it. But yeah, it's a real shame to see that sort of lack of interaction with the fans. But to me, I don't think his performances have been particularly worse off than anyone else. Kurtis, it's been a very lackluster 5 games. I think even the Watford game to some degree wasn't brilliant. I talked about at the start of the show what needs to change within this club to sort of not just get us back to winning ways, but almost to get the players to to start looking a bit more up for it?
Well, we just seem to be missing that fire. We used to have a lot of we'd come out the gates and just be raring to go, and just now I don't know what happened. It felt like an overnight thing. It doesn't feel like we're playing to the last minute anymore, or even trying to get that. I miss the 95-minute goals. I miss them. I would take a couple of them right now. That Brighton doesn't feel like this Brighton now. I don't know what's happened. And to go back to talk about Basuma, actually, I don't think he had a particularly terrible game today. I think there was some errant passing and things like that as usual, but the whole squad were pretty bad, to be honest, at moments. But he's not doing a great job of putting himself in the shop window. I just think that if he wants to move on, he's going to have to start, kicking it up a gear, essentially. But a lot does need to change with the squad. I think we just need to bring in some, like Joe said earlier, some hungry youth that really want to play for the badge and go out there and just do it.
Yeah. Can't really argue with that. Aaron, we've been defeated by Liverpool, which I suppose to many wouldn't be a particularly great surprise. We go back to that 5th defeat in a row, lack of scoring. Do you think that our top 10 aspirations are fundamentally over?
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, we're not getting top 10. Nah, it's just not going to happen. I think even, to be honest, even when we were in the top 10, I was still pretty. I wasn't particularly confident we'll finish in the top 10 anyway, because we don't do things the easy way. And I say it again, we'll probably end up finishing 13th, 14th, maybe 15th, just because we haven't got a goal scorer. And I think the concerning thing is for me, during the last sort of 3 months, not even just the last 5 games, we're not creating chances. It's not even like if we had Ronaldo, we have Messi or Mbappe. It doesn't really matter because we wouldn't be, they just wouldn't score because you can't not give them the service. And that's also a fundamental thing is if you're not making the runs or making the passes to set up the goals, how the hell do you expect them to score them? But when we have the chances, you need to take them, and ultimately we haven't been doing that. And one massive thing I'll say is I thought Morpé was quality today. His work ethic was unreal. Like when he clattered Alisson, I was absolutely loved that because he was running. He was the only one really running, and then you could see it happening a mile off. As soon as Alisson got the ball, it was like he's just going to go straight through him here. And he's the only one who really showed any sort of fight or any sort of oomph to their performance. I don't think we. I want to say.
I also want to put Solly March in that bracket as well.
Yeah,
I thought he was brilliant.
Patient, young man, patience. I was about to say, Solly done what Solly does well. He actually looked to take on players and not do what he loves to do is twist and turn, twist and turn, twist and turn, twist and turn, lose the ball. And he was actually getting the ball, running the players, and then making a decision either to cross or then play it back or play the simple pass. I thought Trossard was dreadful. Actually, I have to admit, I'm in the bracket of him that cash in where we can at the moment because he's not a striker. He's not. Although we were playing 4-3-3 today, what looked like a 4-3-3. Even when he was out on the wing, he still didn't look very, very good. He didn't really look like he was affecting the game a great deal. So after sort of the first 10-minute spell, anyway, he just went missing. And with players like that, he needs to be the spark. He needs to be the spark. Him and Basuma both do. And I think Basuma wanted to go in January. I stand by that. And I think he's pissed off he never got the move, or they've agreed that they're going to sell him in the summer, and he just doesn't really care. a fee's been agreed with another club, or a deal was in place that come 1st of July he will not be a Brighton player, and you can there's something not quite right. I can't put my finger on what it is, but there's something just not adding up with the whole Basuma situation. It wasn't a great performance, but then again you have to look at who we're playing against, and they are a very good team, and they are probably just chilling in second gear. Really, like if they wanted to, they could have absolutely taken us to the cleaners today. Like without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. Like Salah had a couple of good chances. Mane scuffed a couple, and it was like, if that's Liverpool when they're on top form, that's in the back of the net. You're 5-0 down at half time, and it's not a pretty sight. But I think we need this 3-week break we've got coming up. We need this massively. It'll get Webster back, but which will help, and it'll hopefully just refresh some players and just get their heads right. Because I think that's something that's more concerning to me is not the results. It's just a lack of effort. It's just a lack of effort, and effort isn't something you work towards. It's something you should just naturally have as a professional footballer. You want to win for your team. You don't work at training at giving 100% effort. That comes from the person, not the manager, not Tony Bloom, not Paul Barber. It comes from the player themselves. If you're just going out there to take it as a Saturday afternoon kickabout, then get the fuck out of this club, because that's not what you're here for. You're here to put on the blue and white stripes that we all wish we could do and give 110% to the point you actually want to be sick. You've worked so hard for 90 minutes. And the two players that really did today were March and Morpay. Other than that, no one did. Even Lamptey, to a certain degree, I thought Lamptey done okay. It was one of his best performances
struggled
today.
I thought he struggled a bit.
I thought he done okay. I thought it was one of his better performances in recent weeks.
Fair dues.
Just for the sake, he was actually getting up the pitch, getting back as well. Defensively, he looked okay.
In that facet, his defensive work was quite good today.
Yeah. But it's difficult when you're playing up against Andy Robertson, who's one of the world's best left backs, who's got alongside him Van Dijk, one of the world's best centre backs, to help him cover. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for him, and I thought he'd done okay. But obviously, man for man, when I looked at saw that Liverpool team, it was we've not got hope in hell, and to keep it under sort of 4 I would have been pleased with, and luckily it was only 2, so we take that.
Yeah, I think you did mention about like those chances, and I think we've said it on this podcast before. Last season we were guilty of creating chances after chance after chance and not putting them away, but we just, as of late, we haven't created any chances. Our first shot on target today, I believe, was 88 minutes, or at least that was the first time that Alisson had to make a save. Against Villa, it was something like the 79th minute. And this isn't like the Brighton of last season where we were just creating chances for fun and then not scoring them, which was deeply frustrating. But this season, or at least recently, we just seem to be going backwards. And I'll probably get slated for saying that. And also, I think it's worth mentioning about the whole top 10 aspiration things. I think the only reason we were in the top 10 to start the start of the season was because of the fact that Leicester and Everton were just doing so badly. Any other season, we'd be, upper bottom half, if you like. But that's the only reason we were in the top 10. And I've said it before, I'll come back to it again. But I think our league position for a long time this season has deflected valid criticism and critique of some of the performances that we've seen, the lack of activity in the transfer window for the here and now. But I don't want to dwell on that because we've spoken about that before. So let's look ahead then to the game on Wednesday, Tottenham Hotspur. Now, if ever there is a team that could turn up and be well beaten or turn up and be utterly awful, it is Spurs. Joe, what changes would you make, if any, for the Spurs game?
To be honest, I don't think I make any changes. I thought the performance in the first. This sounds ridiculous me saying it because football's a 90-minute game, but the performance in the first 15 was decent, and the reason that we got pegged back was because we're playing against Liverpool, and they are a world-class team, as Aaron pointed out. Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, Mo Salah. I could list that whole team, and as you say about Spurs, obviously they have got world-class players as well. Maybe not as many as Liverpool, but their consistency sometimes is a joke. We saw it against Leeds. They turned up and scored 5 goals. I think it was 5. And yeah,
but that is against Leeds. So that's Leeds.
Well, yeah. But
Leeds haven't got a defence. They just got 2 centre halves who stand.
We scored 0 goals against Leeds.
To be fair, I don't know how
we
didn't. I don't know how we didn't score any goals against Leeds because they were bloody awful.
Yeah,
they generally can't defend, but we can't finish. So that's the reason why.
I think a strong breeze could score a goal against Leeds, and we couldn't. So
you watch us.
I'm sure
lose at Ellen Road.
Sure, you could put me and Toby up top, and we'll probably score a couple. To be fair.
Fair enough. 2 goalkeepers, so lovely.
But then again, I've played 2 outfield games and scored 2 goals. So I'm 100% record, mate.
Prolific.
Sign him up, Brighton. Sign him up.
I am the white Heskey. Just pointing that
out. Fair play. What was my point? What was I talking about?
You were talking about Spurs and if we're going to make any changes.
No, wouldn't make any changes. I feel like if we start the way we did against Liverpool, we'll get Spurs rattled. I think they're quite an easy team to get on the back foot quite early on. And if you do that, hopefully, it seems ridiculous me being so optimistic and saying hopefully we can play really well for the first 15 minutes and score a goal, which we haven't done for 3,000 minutes or however bloody long it is now. But you just have to keep believing because the performances, as I say, are getting better. I know the results aren't going the way we want them to. I sound like Graham Potter now. The performance, it was there in moments of the game against a team as good as Liverpool. So I feel like if we just keep on that trajectory and just keep believing in what we can do, then the result will come. We're all a bit deflated. Yeah, we've lost 5 games on the bounce. The last game we won was obviously Watford when Adam Webster was in the side. It's funny that we haven't won a game since Adam Webster got injured. Quite telling.
He is our most important player.
He is because I said this to my dad in the line for the park and ride after the game. The reason that shift in performance is because one, the mentality's gone for some reason, as we've pointed out, and I've said it on multiple podcasts in the last few weeks. The system that we're playing doesn't work. Kukurea and Lamptey are pushed far too much back. They're too scared to go forward because the moment they do, you've then got Joel Veltman and Lewis Dunk trying to deal with counter-attacks. They're both not blessed with amazing pace. They're okay, but they're not rapid. And we're playing 4 at the back. It's not working. We sold Dan Burn. We didn't replace him. This seems ridiculous that I have to keep coming back to this. We didn't replace him. Adam Webster got injured. Suddenly, 2 centre-backs gone. Shane Duffy, for me, isn't good enough, as we've mentioned before. Why we're not playing Roberts, I don't know. But
he wasn't even benched today, which was weird.
No, exactly. And we're now down to 2 centre-backs that we can kind of trust. But you can't really trust them to play in the back 2 because look at what happens. The ball's over the top. Teams have looked at that and gone, okay, Brighton have got Webster injured. They've sold Dan Burn. They're not playing Roberts and Duffy is slow as anything. If they play Duffy, sod it, we can do that. If they play 2 at the back, we can do that. And that's how we keep getting undone. I can't remember what my initial point was, but that's the reason that we're not getting the performances and we're not getting the creativity because the system's changed. We play. I'm sure we played 5 or 3 at the back against Chelsea, and I think that was our last really good performance, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I agree.
So it's. I'm going to use Aaron's catchphrase here. It's not rocket science. To work that out. What was that, Aaron? You're muted.
I said, yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Lamptey. Again, exactly. Joe does not approve. Lamptey did okay today. But it's the same reason that I point out that he's playing in a back four. And he's, I think, a bit scared to go forwards because he knows that he's going to be having to sprint back to stop the counter attack. So
yeah. And I mean, we saw what a back four against Spurs looked like in the cup, and Son's going to have a field day if we set up like this against Spurs on Wednesday. Curtis, what do you think? It's the Spurs. Do you stick or do you twist?
I'd like some changes, but where's it coming from? Like what's going to be what's different? Like I can't imagine Potter just randomly going, okay, I've got something now, guys. Check this crazy. You all right, Aaron? That was hilarious. But I don't know. I think it's probably the safer option just to stick with the squad but please just try something different at the back. I mean, I'm just so tired of it now. I'm so tired of seeing the same ball come in and the same goal happening. Just change that, please, Potter. If you're watching, because I know you do, just change it up.
Please, Graham. Please put another centre back on the pitch.
Listen, you can stop emailing us. You can come on the pod. All right, just change it. All right.
Yeah, come on, Graham. Don't be so needy. I just want to see another central defender, guys. That's all I want.
Please, for the love of God.
Ed Turns. Bring on Ed Turns. Hayden Roberts. One of them. Just put them in a back three.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
It comes back to my point about, I think I said it last podcast. Why are they on the bench if they're not ready to play a Premier League game? What are you going to do? If Dunk gets injured and then Veltman gets injured, suddenly you've got to bring on Ed Turns and Hayden Roberts in a back two. That's going to kill them.
That's going to be scary.
Exactly. So why not put one of them alongside Lewis Dunk, who has incredible Premier League experience, and Joel Veltman, who's played in the Champions League? There is no two better people to learn from.
Exactly. And as we say, it looks like the top 10 is slowly disappearing, especially with the upturned form of Newcastle and Villa. The chances of us finishing in the top 10 are remote. Aaron, are there any changes that you would make for the Spurs game? Would you include your most favourite ever player, Pascal Gross?
I would rather have Tom McGill play centre midfield than Pascal Gross. So the answer to that question is no. No, I don't think so. I don't think you make any changes, to be honest. I think the team itself is actually pretty good. When it came out, I think it's the best 11 you could probably pick. Tottenham have just gone 1-0 down at the moment. Ronaldo just scored an absolute worldie, hence for the reaction you just saw there. But no, I don't think you make changes. I think you keep the same 11. I wouldn't be surprised if there are changes. To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. Obviously, going to be one. There probably will be at least one or two. Wouldn't surprise me if Lamptey doesn't play or gets puts onto the bench just because for fitness reasons, and Duffy comes in at centre half and Veltman goes to right back, etc. And then if that happens, then we just got no hope in hell, because like Joe's pointed out, I think Duffy's done now. I think I think everyone at the start of the season was, big Shane Duffy's back, buzzing, he started the season off really well, and then he just plummeted off a edge of a cliff, and that's coincided because we sold Dan Burn. Illuminati confirmed.
The guy who's had bloody amazing games at Newcastle since he's gone as well. He's been outstanding.
Yeah, he's been their best player, and I keep getting reminded of that, and it upsets me. I swear I say this every week. If you sell your most in the form player and don't replace him, you're going to look worse off. Dunk just returning from injury. Webster gets injured. Duffy's not on form. Where are you going to? Who are you going to play? Like, who are you going to play? You have to play Roberts. Probably rather play Roberts over
Busters. Sorry.
Rather play Roberts over Turns, because I think Ed Turns hasn't, had the match day experience in a total sense in the Premier League, being involved around the squad, going to these sort of grounds where Roberts he's played in the League Cup. He's played very well in the League Cup, to be fair. He's a good centre half, even on their 23s. Against Everton on Friday night, he looked good. But I think, come Wednesday, it just have to really wait and see. Ask me at 6:30 when the team's announced, and hopefully Tottenham get lots of injuries today and they have to play the youngsters, and that'd be great.
So, by the way, I don't know who spread this rumour about all these players being injured for Liverpool, but you're a bloody liar. I heard this before the game. It was like, Van Dijk wasn't in training. He's not going to be playing. I was like, okay then. Liars.
Yep, agreed. I saw those rumours as well, and I was thinking, that sounds good. But yeah, I echo that. I would like to see some changes against Spurs. I would like to see some of the youngsters given a go. It's worth remembering that Aaron Connolly received his first start against Spurs up front, and look what happened there.
Look what happened there.
Well, to be fair, we did win that game. He did score 2 goals.
Yeah, he did score 2 goals. That's what I mean. Yeah, that wasn't a dig at Connolly that time, and it's what happens when you give youngsters opportunities. They take them, and what that was.
It's because they're really hungry. They finally got the opportunity and they want to go for it. So
exactly, that's the thing. You got the hunger, you got the the want to impress, and that's where I think we got Sacramento to come back. He looked really good on Friday.
Yeah,
he
did.
He looked fast. That run was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I look forward to having him back because he looks like a player that is not afraid to, with the ball at his feet, to just run at defenders. Yeah. And that is terrifying as a defender when you've just got someone who's not afraid to just run at you. And we haven't
had anyone since knockout. Like we haven't, and that's what the fans love to see. Someone who can run at pace as well, at pace, at defenders, who's got a bit about him. And when he's played, he's looked good. It was just such a shame when he got injured at West Ham because everyone was buzzing for him to get his Premier League debut, and then within the first 10 minutes, he obviously tears his hamstring. And it's like, mate, poor soul can't catch a break. So I'm hoping. If he's been training all the last couple of weeks, he's in the squad for Wednesday. Put him on for the last 20, depending on how things are. Because, you got the likes of Eric Dyer and Joe Rodon at the back. They're going to be shit scared of someone with a bit of pace. Like, it's just, again, it's not rocket science. You put someone with pace, you make them drive at the players because they're scared of them. You're scared of quick defenders. Are always scared of quick players, and especially if they're not quick themselves. Like you look at Van Dijk. Van Dijk glides across the pitch. He's rapid, but if you flip side to say Diaz on like Veltman, you're a little bit like if you're Diaz, just run at him, because he'll panic and start stepping back, and then there's a point where he's going to have to go to the ball, and you just knock it around him.
It's amazing to think that Brighton almost signed Van Dijk. In another lifetime, maybe we would have done. But anyway, I'm glad.
But we spent the money on Craig McCall-Smith.
Well, there you go.
So
that's where we spent our money. I'm glad you brought up a certain Sir Anthony Knockhart, because this brings me nicely into a little segue about some of the chat going on Brighton Twitter. Now, of course,
I know where you're going with this.
Now, we of course know that Brighton Twitter is not representative of the fan base as a whole, but it's amazing how in one season we've seen the chat go from lofty European ambitions to, oh, do you remember the Championship? Oh, wasn't the Championship good? Oh, well, if we get relegated, the Championship will be nice. Now, Joe, I know that this has made you quite cross. Say your piece, brother.
So, yeah, I saw somebody. I'm not going to name them because I feel that's unfair. I saw somebody tweet.
That bloody Trossard season again, isn't it?
Oh, bloody Trossard
You
season.
beat me to it. You literally beat me to it there.
Yeah. You've lost my train of thought now.
Anger,
So, yeah,
anger and rage.
anger and rage. So yeah, I saw someone tweet, "Oh, is it bad of me that I miss the Championship and League One?" Yes, it is, because I want my football club to be, challenging at the highest level possible. I'm so proud. I've said this before on podcasts. I'm so proud of our roots. I'm so proud of where we've come from. I'm so proud that 11 years ago, or 12, however many it was, 11, I think, we were a League One football club. Now we're a Premier League football club who at the start of the season were talking about European aspirations. Why would you want to take a backward step back into the Championship and then have the risk of getting relegated then again to League One? You see what that does to clubs financially. You see that what that done to Sunderland, how financially ruined they are. You see what it done to Portsmouth. Granted, they didn't spend their money very well and did it to themselves, really. But why would you want to become a club that were once in the top flight but aren't really spoken about anymore? Or I don't care about us being spoken about. Don't get me wrong. All I care about is my football club and challenging at the highest possible level. So I get the sentiment. I get that those days were great. I get that we would have a season of, oh, will we get promoted to the Premier League again? But that, for me, lives in the highest memory for me as a Brighton fan was that day against Wigan, getting promoted to the Premier League, thinking, my God, we've finally done it. After all these years of talking about it, Tony Bloom's vision, it's becoming true. Tony Bloom set out another vision of wanting to be a top 10, maybe even a European football club one day. Why don't fans want to take that on? Maybe it's because the club aren't showing enough ambition in the transfer windows. Maybe that we've got this long game that we're trying to play and fans are getting just a little bit too impatient for it. We've lost 5 games on the bounce in the Premier League. I get that. Everyone's going to be disappointed with that. I'm disappointed with that. But then we'll go and win next week or against Spurs, and then we'll go and win against Norwich, and the conversation changes again. That's just how I just believe that a lot of football fans are very fickle and will change their opinion because we're winning or losing or
Preach
not
it,
doing
Joe.
as well.
Preach
Yeah.
it, Joe.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's my say on it. If you agree with it or not, fine, whatever. If you went to the Goldstone, if you went to Gillingham, fine. I respect that. I respect you so much because you are a part of why this football club is where it is today. I respect you. I didn't go to Gillingham. I wasn't born. I didn't go to the Goldstone. I wasn't born.
How selfish.
dare you?
I didn't
Selfish.
go to the Withdean because my mum couldn't afford it. Do you know what I mean?
How dare you not be
if
born?
Are you
people
even a
come-
real fan, Joe?
I know. But that's my piece on it. And watch the
It's
conversation change when things get better.
Just to echo something that Joe said, right? I mean, I put a thing out about this the other day, how easy it is for everyone to jump on us, jump on the Brighton squad when we're going through a rough patch, right? But why don't we just get behind the team and really push them? And, imagine how much better that's going to make everybody feel if we're all positive. Like, yeah, that was shit. That was a really shit game. But let's go on to the next game and just go for it. Just, where's that? What happened to that? I see so much negativity all the time about Brighton, and people are entitled to those opinions. Absolutely, right? But what happened to your passion? What happened to your fire for your club? I don't see that anymore, man, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah, it is, and I think it does come from a culture of instant gratification. I want to win now. I want it now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait for Tony Bloom's plan. I want it now. I do think, don't get me wrong. I think my two favourite seasons as a Brighton fan were
Tom,
the
just to say, I am 100% clipping that and just putting that with no context on Twitter.
I do. For me, my two favourite seasons as a Brighton supporter were the 2010-11 promotion season under Gus Poyet, because we played teams off the park every week, and it was the last season of the with Dean, and with Dean, no matter how ramshackled it was, no matter how cold and wet you got, it still holds a very special place in my heart. And then, of course, the promotion season to the Premier League being my second. As you say, Joe, I get the idea of wanting to go back to days where we could realistically win every week, and I get that. I do. I really get it. But as you say, as a football fan, why wouldn't you not want your club competing at the very highest level that it possibly can? You just got to be patient. Tony Bloom, he knows what he's doing, even though sometimes we might not, we might question it, which is okay. It's okay to question. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to have a moan, which is obviously what we do at this podcast. But as I say, I like to think that we're all quite level-headed people. We've seen darker days than this, and we will see brighter days than this.
Aaron, I know you said at the start of the podcast you didn't want to talk about this part.
Yeah.
But so tell me to bugger off if you want me to. But I am really interested to hear your side of it. I'm not doing it to get
you
angry or anything. I just really want to hear your side.
I think it's more the fact is it's echoing what you guys have said. Really, is why is this talk happening? It's just why. I just don't get it. This is what pisses me off with some of our fan base. Is they expect things to be brilliant all the time, and we're in the Premier League. We should batter teams like Liverpool. We've been here for 5 years. We deserve instant success. We should win trophies. We should be in the Champions League, go on a European tour. That takes time. It takes time to build. Why would you? Don't get me wrong. If I had a choice of playing in the Premier League for one season, but then going down, or playing in the Championship and then going up, I'll pick the Championship, because it's that thrill ride of promotion. It's the, I remember coming out of Fulham on New Year's Day, the year we got promoted, and it was we're on our way singing constantly in the concourse. It was like a moment in time that I never thought I would see, and I've seen it now, and I want to stay in the Premier League. But it's a very very fine line between fans wanting instant success and then fans realizing that it takes time. You need to build foundations. You can't have everything. We're not a Man City. We can't buy our way into things. We're not a Liverpool. We can't, buy trophies, get world-class players in. It's not going to happen. If you're going to go that, piss off and be one of those glory supporters, because that's not what the club's about. I was like you said, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It just annoys me, because I've seen some shit. I have seen some real bad players in the Brighton shirt, and I've seen some really bad performances when we've been getting taken apart by teams.
Like when we played Pascal Gross at right back.
I'd rather have Pascal Gross at right back than Andrew Wing or Colin Hawkins playing at the back. Or
Andy Wing was awesome. What are you talking about?
I mean, no, easy now. Awesome is definitely not a word I would use. But it's just, people need to think and put things in perspective. It's just not instant anymore. There's no such thing as instant success unless you pump money, billions into the club. Newcastle, for example, that's prime example. They've pumped £100 million in January. They're unbeaten in 7 games. And it's not. It's not because Eddie Howe's coming, he's worked miracles. It's because he's had money and just chucked it in the window and see what's stuck on the wall.
I'm going to put it out there. I would rather play in League 2 than accept blood money. Just put it out there.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't personally, because that's just me.
Depends how bloody the money is.
Really bloody.
Oh my god.
The owner that we have at this football club, people needs to be grateful for that every single day.
Oh no, yeah, completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, me and the old man were saying on the way back, people take risks on owners all the time. You also have to remember, Tony Bloom got a majority of his money by gambling. It's not like he's stolen or murdered people to get it or anything like that. It's not like he's Saudi oil merchants who just steal from the poor and give to the rich. It's he's got, not lucky, but he has in a certain degree. He's fantastic at poker. Clearly, he's a very savvy businessman. Clearly, and I think I'd rather have Tony. If Tony Bloom sold up, and we got an owner in, I don't know if you guys remember, someone like a Ken Bates at Chelsea, where he's just there solely because it's just money. That's not fun. At least Bloom's a Brighton fan through and through. He loves the club. Yeah, if we had an owner like Roman Abramovich, not him personally, but someone with his amount of money, then fair enough, because he's progressing the club. He wants the club to do better, and we need money to do that. And yeah, just got to wait and see. I think that's the thing. What annoys me the most about the whole sort of situation, where fans, we had Archer and Belotti, they almost fucking killed the club. I won't say their name lightly. I hate them with a passion, and I was probably maybe 3 or 4. I didn't really have much to do with Brighton. Then obviously I was only young, but to know that my club could have died before I even got to know how much I love this club is scary. But that's for me is the reason why I will not. That's why I didn't want to comment on any of this, because it angers me to a point where I just can't be bothered with it anymore. And it gives the idiots like who are saying these things the time of day, and I just don't think it's right. Because they're in their own little world. They're probably only 16, 17, probably not even watched. They probably watched the Wifting years ago. Look at that athletics track. Where to me, the Wifting's more like home than the Amex. The Wifting for me will always be home. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, it is my spiritual home. Like, when we have the chance to, when I have the chance to play there soon, we're playing Old Vardinians or AFC Vardinians, and that's going to be surreal for me. I'll be sort of stood in the middle center circle, looking around, thinking like, Jesus, like this is the first I've been on the pitch and meant to be on the pitch. Like, it's going to be so surreal. Like, walking around, and it's just going to be mad. Like, for me, it's going to be incredible. But yeah, that's my 2 pence. That's why I didn't really want to go into it, because I just waffle on about pure nonsense. And
well said, Aaron. Well said.
You certainly haven't waffled, and it's it's amazing to have your perspective on that. You and Tom, because me and Kurtis weren't at the Wifting. We weren't at Gillingham. No, you two weren't at Gillingham or the Golston anyway, because you're not old enough.
What are you talking about? I was born at the Golston ground. That's how I know I'm a true Albion fan.
Yeah, it's so good to get your perspective, Aaron. Like, never ever think that you're talking out of place or saying things or waffling, because it's just talking from pure passion, and that's what this podcast is all about, is to get those opinions out there.
Yeah, our history is very important to who we are as a club, the things we've been through, but we can't let that history hold us back.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree.
I don't.
Sorry, Tom.
No, as I say, it should serve as an inspiration of what we could achieve. And I don't know about you, Aaron, but I still get those moments when I'm at the Amex now. And I remember back to those days at the Wifting, losing to teams in League Two and sitting near the bottom and thinking, why do I do this to myself? And I come to the Amex and I see us playing the Premier League, and it's just completely different. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, that journey is very, very special. Very
It's like,
special.
Tom, if you weren't sat next to me when we were at Villa, I probably would have cried. I'm not even going to lie. Like when I came out, and I knew you were about to film me and stuff because we were doing that bit, and I was immediately, as soon as I stepped out and I looked out, it punched me in the gut. I was like, this is unlike anything I've ever experienced, you know.
Yeah.
And I just felt so much emotion. I was like, I'm here, you know. We're like, it's nuts. Like we've been at the Amex for quite a while, obviously now, but it was crazy, you know.
Yeah, and for me, like that first season, or the first time I went to the Amex, I can't remember how old I was, 15, I think, and it was the second home game, I think, Blackpool, when we drew 2-2 in that first season, and my dad had told me, so because he was the only person like really close to me that had been to the Withdean, been to Golston. So he told me all these stories about the club and what he'd seen and all these awful moments. And to be sharing that moment with him, to be walking into the Amex for the first time. And I remember touching the concrete on the outside, much like I told you to do, Kurtis, when you first got there. And I sat in the East Stand, walked out into the East Stand, saw the West Stand in front of me, and it's just unbelievable. And you know, I hadn't even been to the Withdean, so I can't imagine how that would have felt, you know, for somebody that had experienced that.
Yeah, my dad, he's been Brighton supporter his entire life, Goldston, Gillingham, Withdean, everything. And he texted me today saying he still gets chills every time they play that pre-match montage and it goes into Sussex by the Sea. Never underestimate how important this club is to people. And as I say, to bring it back full circle, no, going backwards is not the way to go forwards. But that brings us quite nicely to the end of our episode. Thank you to Joe, Kurtis, and to Aaron for joining us today. We hope to come to you in the midweeks with a slightly more upbeat and more positive podcast after the Spurs game. So just before we sign off, boys, can I get your score predictions for Spurs? Joe, I'll come to you first, mate.
Yes, let's have a think. I probably should have thought about this and had an instant answer for you, Thomas, but I don't. Let's go for a 2-2 draw. We haven't scored for 400 minutes, but I'm going to say that we're going to score 2 goals. So, there you go.
I love it. That's optimism. Kurtis, do you share Joe's optimism?
I do, but I'm going to go for a win because I think if I manifest it, it has to happen at some point, right? So I'm going to say a 2-1 victory for Brighton.
I love it, boys. I love the fact that after not scoring a goal for 450 minutes, you've both gone for 2 goals apiece. Aaron, we're just talking score predictions, mate. For the Tottenham game before we sign off, what do you think the score will be?
Here's Aaron about to bring us back down to earth now.
What do you think you're going to? Do you think we're actually going to score 2? Did I just overhear that before I came rejoining?
Trying to be positive, Aaron. I'm trying to be positive.
Funny. Let's go 2-0 Spurs.
To be fair, I think
our next goal will come against Norwich. And
to be,
I will still expect us to concede 2 against Norwich. So that's good stuff.
I think, to be fair, that's probably the most in-form thing. I think, you know, the form table doesn't lie, but we've got to start scoring somewhere. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory. I've gone for 2 goals as well. I reckon it'll go to the wire, 1-1, and then Evan Ferguson will come on and he'll score an absolute peach of a goal. So, as you say, Kurtis, let's manifest this.
We have to just try and be positive, because if we don't, then what else do we have? You know,
nothing.
We have nothing. We have nothing.
Yeah. So once again, guys, thank you for joining Joe, Aaron, and Kurtis and myself on this week's episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more if you haven't already. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Adios.
Bye.